what do they usually charge a head for a meal and dessert? No alcohol, just like tea and water, coffee.
I'd have to double check, see what the price is, but I can get all that information to you.
Are you ready to go?
Yeah.
Perfect. Grant? Okay, aloha, aloha. Welcome back to another week of Kuleana and Community Talk Story. Quick shout out to our sponsors, Kipuka, Chancellor's Office, Center for Global Education and Exchange, and Kilohana. And then just a reminder that we do have counseling services. They have a table right there, but we have free counseling services on campus, walk-in Wednesdays, or appointments. So utilize the resources that we have. Today, we have another fascinating talk from Captain Sam LeMar. Along with his wife, Felicia, they oversee pretty much all the operations of the Hawaii County Salvation Army. And you're going to learn that it is way more than probably what you think it is. So today we're going to talk about the resources and things that the Salvation Army does for Hawaii County. So without further ado, Captain Sam.
Oh, thank you. Kobe?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. So I'm a preacher by trade, so if you get an amen out of me, I do apologize at the beginning. But the Salvation Army is a non-denominational church. So we do have church services every Sunday and men's and women's Bible studies on top of everything else we do. But everything else we do is an expression of our ministry. And so the Salvation Army has three pillars: soup, soap, and salvation, meaning that people don't have to hear our message of salvation without receiving the soup and the soap first. So nobody is forced to hear our message. We by no means shy away from inviting somebody to church, but there's no need to hear the message first, if that makes sense, right? So together with my wife, as Colby had shared, we serve the Hawaii Island as coordinators for the Salvation Army, with a focus on the Hilo Corps. And that's my wife right there. She's back at the office holding it down, and my three beautiful daughters. The youngest is Olivia, the middle one is Annalise, and the oldest is Ava. And Ava hopes to come here when she graduates high school. So we're pretty excited about that. I was raised in Lahaina by a single mother, and I often say I was really raised by Lahaina itself. My mom usually worked 2 or 3 jobs to keep us afloat. So I was what you call a latchkey kid, wandering up and down Front Street, hanging around the harbor, truly in Hawaii style and fashion. I had plenty of uncles and aunties who made sure I was cared for and fed. And as you can tell, they didn't shy away from the feeding part. My childhood struggles included getting involved with some drugs at a young age and later moving to the mainland, which didn't help. And I eventually served about 4 years in a federal penitentiary. And that became the turning point in my life. I've been clean and sober for 24 years now by God's grace. And since then, I've served with the Salvation Army in Washington, Idaho, Colorado, Montana, California, and now, by His grace, back home in Hawaii. For me, Kuleana to Hawaii is not only a part of my work, it's personal. This is the culture I identify with most, and I feel deep responsibility to steward it well. And today I want to share with you who we are in the Salvation Army and the responsibility that we carry to our island community, not only in Hilo, but holistically, and how UH can be a part of that story. Serving Hawaii, this is the first Salvation Army, Hilo is, since 1894. And my joke to the county is, when I'm dealing with them, that you were incorporated in 1905. We were here first. And we've been active in East and West Hawaii, Hilo, Kona, Honoka'a, and beyond. Our mission, it's longer than this, but the most important part is to meet human needs in Christ's name without discrimination. The mission comes in many different forms, and I'm going to show you some pictures pretty soon, but we have a safe house for girls. It says Hilo, but it's actually in Mountain View. Teen girls that have been either trafficked, abused, or justice involved. And typically when one of those happen, all of them happen. We have a boys' home in Captain Cook for the same type of situation. We have a boys' home on Maui that comes through our infrastructure here. We have a emergency youth shelter here in Hilo. We call it the interim home, and we're opening one in Kona soon. Essentially, that's a place where kids can go. They're usually referred by the police or the courts that can't necessarily go home. They may have done something, but it's not so bad to send them to some sort of institution, or perhaps it's abuse or whatever it is, but that's where they'll come through us. We have housing for youth aging out of foster care. We have our food and family support. In Hilo, we have a food pantry, community lunch, Kupuna pantry, adult shelter, Kona food pantry, and preschool. We're very proud that it's the most affordable licensed preschool in the county. Honoka'a, we have our food pantry and homeless services. We do youth outreach and prevention. We're in all of the elementary schools in East Hawaii. We do life skills, leadership training, family things, and cultural education. I'll show you some pictures of that here in a minute. We have holiday support and community care throughout the county. We do a countywide Thanksgiving meals in all 3 of our units, and I sort of brag about this. I think we do more meals than our counterparts do in Oahu at the Blaisdell countywide. We do almost 1,800 meals a year for Thanksgiving. All of our units do Christmas gifts for kids in Kupuna. Nearly 100 kids we send each summer to a camp, an overnight camp in Oahu, Camp Omolani. We also do disaster response. We're actually in the middle of it now. We worked in the lava flow in 2018, 65,000 meals we served. Lahaina fire in 2023, 1 million meals served. A point of pride for us is that we sent the first team, the Salvation Army team from outside of Maui into Lahaina worldwide. We were the first ones there with the Salvation Army. So recently, we're currently serving the firefighters at the Ka'ala fire, 3,000 meals. Tonight will be our last service. People don't really hear much about this fire. It's up in the koa reserves and the eucalyptus trees. You know, when you're driving towards Honoka'a and you see those great big forests of eucalyptus. Well, you go about 4 miles up that mountain, and there's even bigger ones. And the fire started up there, and the fire department made quick work of it. They got it contained with their state and federal partners. But recently, it started to get into the root balls. And so of the trees, the canopy is hard to penetrate with the helicopters, right? And so they call it the emu. And so there's hot spots popping up all within the containment area. So they're still up there fighting that fire. This is a picture of one of our bedrooms at the girls' safe house, 2 of our bedrooms. It has 8 beds there total. This is some of the stuff they do. They have chickens. They have farm-to-table business principles that they work on. So they grow the food, and then they cook or do something with it, and then they try to sell it, teaching them lessons. This is some pictures of our arts and craft. I call it the art studio, and it's actually got a big glow forge in there. For any of you know what that is, it's like a fancy arts and crafts 3D printer. A donor was very generous with that for us. This is our downtown homeless shelter that some of you have seen perhaps with the fence around it. And that's where they sleep in the big tent. That's what we call the Ohana tent. This is our mobile kitchen. So we use that to feed at the homeless shelter. But also, when a donor had heard that we had done all those fires for the lava flow in 2018, and so they decided to donate money to buy that and the truck to pull it. And so that is mobile when we need it to be. We designed that. It was manufactured on Maui. We designed it after the bigger ones on the mainland. So we believe it probably has a capacity of about 2,500 meals a day with the right menu, if you cook right. Here is our shower trailer for the shelter. A lot of people ask, why do you have to provide showers? Well, I mean, there's some obvious reasons, right? Gets kind of smelly, just saying. But people need a way to have that step up, right? We need to provide some dignity and hope. And so how are we going to expect somebody to go out and find a job or approach a housing office or other things that they have to do if their hygiene isn't up, right? So this allows them to shower daily. Some of them get work, some of them have a job, some of them want to find a job. We've also found that the shower trailers actually cut down on a lot of disease that affects some of our clients. We deal with a lot of MRSA, staph infections and such, and good hygiene really helps that. Speaking earlier of our outreach teams, this is our canoe. We own a canoe. We're probably the only Salvation Army unit that actually owns an outrigger canoe. And it's used in our outreach teams and our family intervention services for part of the cultural lessons that they're taught. So we're very excited about that. Here's some Christmas stuff that we do. This is Walmart and the Angel Tree. Essentially, donors can come and pull a tag off a tree, buy a toy for a kid, and then we give the kid the toy. Well, we give it to the parents. And what happens is it's a beautiful thing because we don't put Salvation Army markings on it. We don't put a receipt in there. We don't put anything else. So when the kid gets the present, they have no idea that it came from the Salvation Army. Mom and dad bought them a toy, and in some cases, auntie, uncle, whoever they're living with. One way you can help is be a part of our kettles this year. We do volunteers that ring the bell. These are some of our families that take part in it. This is a big part of our local fundraising. This money stays right here in the community. Here's some pictures of our response to the current fire. That's up in those reserves. The fire is actually right there behind us. And as you can see, we're handing them bentos that we bought and fruits and snacks because these guys are burning a lot of calories, right? So we try to load them up with the good stuff. And hydration, Gatorade, water. As a matter of fact, Waikea Water, they provided a whole pallet of water for the firefighters. There's some of the food, and Domino's was another partner. We work with a lot of community partners. Here's some of our church people, and that's my daughter, of course, putting together meals that we're sending up there to serve. So our mission comes alive pretty quick. And how does it come alive, right? And it's a challenge because there's a high cost of living, there's limited housing, there's food insecurity. I cannot tell, I'm sure you guys know, I take my family of 5 to go grocery shopping. When we lived on the mainland, we'd eat steak twice a week. And here we're able to eat it maybe once a month when it's on $5 Fridays at Safeway, right? You guys know about $5 Fridays? We watch that ad closely, especially when the Calbee ribs come out. You got to get there at 5 in the morning, right, to get your ribs. Anyway, it's crazy how expensive it is. We also try to secure money to buy food boxes for kapuna that live out like in Keao and some of these other places and some of these larger senior complexes because they have a hard time getting into the store. And so we work with people like OK Farms, and we buy culturally relevant, locally grown produce for them and deliver boxes monthly whenever we can get the funding. I can't tell you how many families we call that are living paycheck to paycheck. People are one paycheck away in today's age from not being able to make it. And so we try to provide the most that we possibly can. And of course, there's vulnerability during disasters. When somebody donates to us for a disaster, that money stays with that disaster 100%. I can't take, if there's any money donated for this fire, I can't take it and give it to Oahu for their disaster. It has to stay on the Big Island. We have to utilize it towards that disaster. That came after the lava flows. I wasn't here for that, but when I got here, we found $65,000 left from those donations. And I thought, oh, well, we'll just use this to buy something else for the mobile kitchen or whatever. And no, we had to use it to specifically support the victims. So we got that money, we got gift cards, and we worked with the American Red Cross and the county, verified the victims of that fire, people who actually lost homes, and we got them that money to buy whatever they needed. But those are the challenges that we have. But our response, daily service for food, shelter, counseling, and prevention. Listen, the homeless shelter is a big deal. I can't tell you how many young kids that we get, people no older than you, and their first night on the street is in that shelter. Now that may sound harsh, but it's better than being on the street for that first night, because a lot of bad things happen on the street at night here in Hilo, anywhere really. But if we can catch them and get them before they end up on the streets, then that's where we move into prevention and not just emergency housing. We do 2 meals a week at lunch. We do 50 meals. And that's daily services for food. We also provide a dinner every night to our shelter guests, strengthening youth families for the long-term resilience. With our family intervention services, one of our most important things is that we're able to start with a kid in elementary school, and we can be a part of their life if they need us to be until they're 26 years old. So we get a lot of kids that come through our programs, right, when they're younger, through some of the shelters, and of course then they end up in the foster system. Well, when they get out of the foster system, they have absolutely nowhere to go, and they probably don't have family or people that have the credit to co-sign for them on an apartment, on a lease, whatever else. And that's where we come in with some of our grants. We're able to rent apartments and co-sign with them and have a step-up program where we help them through the process until they're able to get on their feet and pay the rent. And then, of course, mobilizing when disaster strikes. The heart of our work, every meal, every bed, every class, and every prayer is meant to provide dignity and hope. We don't just provide services, we build our relationships. We have a gentleman that went through our shelters that now comes back and paints our FIS buildings every year. He's actually going to start this next week. We're pretty excited. But our goal is to remind people that you are seen, you are valued, and you are not alone. You can come to the Salvation Army for help. Now, we can't help you with everything, right? We did some rent support for a while because there was some money out there for it, but that's incredibly expensive. We helped with over $1 million in a year. It wasn't our money, it was a grant that was provided to us, but that goes quick, right? But if we're able to help you, we will. Next is our team. We have dedicated staff and volunteers, and they are the backbone of our work. I can't tell you, we can't do it enough. We have 3 of our advisory board members here, Dr. Colby, Grant, and George Applegate, Mr. Aloha himself here. They are 3 of our volunteers. They volunteer to be advisory leaders to us in the community to sort of help us on the right path. We have other volunteers, people who come and serve a lunch, people who come and serve dinner at our shelter, people who get their workplaces to provide toys at Christmas. They are the backbone of our work. And our staff are some very special people. They deal with some of the hardest work you can imagine. One of our generals in the Salvation Army once said, "You can tell a Salvationist because they're not surprised when they hear the scariest things, because we hear them day in and day out, and our staff is there to help." From kids to seniors, keke to kupuna, from families in crisis to youth needing guidance, our aim is a holistic approach, body, mind, and spirit. This is some of our staff. Here's our church people. We are on a trip going to Oahu. This is our island officers. So the elderly couple right behind me is Envoy Gary and Ann Todd. They are in Honoka'a. That is Captain Sean Kioho showing Shaka in Kona. And my wonderful wife, we call her the boss or the general, Captain Felicia LeMar. Here's our advisory board, some of them on our island-wide trip. And we took them around to show them all of our locations in the county. Here's some of our shelter workers downtown. These people are saints. They deal with some of the highest level of mental health issues that you can imagine. And they love people through it. There's sometimes where I'm just like, no, tell them to go on, move on. No, we can work with them. We can help them and get through it. We had one lady who had some very severe moments in her life, and she had to leave to protect herself and others. She was able to go get the help that she needed, and she came back and apologized to him. And that was a very heartwarming moment for us because it meant that what we're doing right. Also, with our shelter, we're very proud to say that we've got almost 90 people housed in 1 year. So that's working with other community partners. We started out with 25 beds for most of that year, which means that over 3 to 4 times of our bed count we were able to help get in some sort of long-term housing. We do work with people like Neighborhood Place of Puna, Hope Services, etc. But our caseworker was able to navigate. Some people moved into their own apartment. Some people moved into a higher level of shelter. But that was over 90 people that we got off the street in that first year. We've now expanded to 50 beds. Here's some more of our staff, some of our divisional headquarters staff out in Osh. Just good folks that really run the backbone of the Army. Partnerships are important to us. Kuleana isn't something we carry alone, it's shared. We couldn't do it by ourselves. There is no way. A Salvation Army isn't meant to operate in an isolated point, it's meant to operate together with others, to collaborate. Whether it's somebody who donates money, somebody who donates goods, somebody who comes and be of service, a business, etc. Businesses, churches, governments, volunteers, they all walk with us. Student volunteer opportunities, we actually have some nursing students from your college that come and they do wound care. We have the carpentry class from the community college that does carpentry work for us. They've built the stairs to our trailer, and they've also built the dining room table for one of our youth shelters. But collaboration is important. We have a fantastic relationship with the county government, and they are very supportive of helping others. I can tell you in both of the administrations, both Kimo and Mitch have been very supportive of all that the Salvation Army does, but more importantly, more supportive of the community as a whole. Anything that makes the community better for those who live here. Corporate sponsorships like Domino's and Walmart stepped up during this last fire, and we've been blessed. Of course, our advisory board food drive, again, Dr. Kobe and Tia donating food along with others. Grant donated. Stacy, our board chair. Kenny donated as well, so we're excited for that. Here people are volunteering, cooking the meal for the shelter. Again, we couldn't do this alone, right? That was something like 200 hamburgers that night. Looking ahead, what can we do better? We want to provide safe environments for thriving families. We want to help communities get prepared more for disasters. We want to be a part of food systems that provide for everyone. Being present when hard times strike or when all you need is help. We want to be there, no matter what it takes. In closing, the Salvation Army is here for Hawaii Island because we love this place and it's our people. Our Kuleana is to serve because we serve a mighty God. Your Kuleana, as UH Hilo, is to equip leaders, inspire solutions, and strengthen community. And we're so excited to work in some of these different partnerships with you guys. Together we can overlap, and when it does, our island is stronger, healthier, and better. I do have a video for you guys in closing, and then I can answer any questions. Oh, this was put on by Vikes, the media group at the Hilo High, and they did a fantastic job, and we're excited to collaborate with them some more. This is of our shelter dedication.
Right on. Thank you. Thank you. So we have some time. There is a couple questions for today for the breakouts. One question is, what is something you didn't know that the Salvation Army does that you learned today? And the second question is, Captain Sam did talk about like our Kuleana, right? And that's kind of the focus of this whole series is what is our Kuleana in different aspects of the community? And so in what ways can you as a student or the UH and the multiple programs that we have perform that Kuleana in overlapping with organizations like the Salvation Army? So those are the two questions. Like, what is something you learned today? Two, how can we do more, right? So go ahead and go into groups of 4 to 5 people. We'll take about 7 to 10 minutes and come back as a group, and then we probably have time for Q&A as well. All right, go ahead.
we're always looking for new landlords and apartments and whatnot to partner with as well. Large houses with multiple bedrooms, things of that nature.
Anyone else? You guys? No more? Nothing?
We never knew that they could like pay rent for people.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but that one, as he said, like, it's from grant funding and that depletes really quickly. Anybody from this group? Or wait, this group? Yeah.
We weren't aware of the, I wasn't aware of the youth housing for the boys and for the girls. I knew about what I've seen in Hilo, but
Yeah.
not for the youth.
Our Mountain View house is tucked back in the woods on purpose. You know, it's isolated and that sort of a level of protection for our girls. We don't really advertise the address or the location.
Okay, so the broader question is, how can you as a student or faculty or staff or just units in general at UH contribute more to organizations like the Salvation Army, not necessarily directly to the Salvation Army? How do we bring more connection to the community, I guess, with our Kuleana? Anybody? Yeah.
I feel like we get to volunteer, hopefully learn how to make good burgers for the community.
Okay. Yeah. Anyone else? Any? Yeah.
I think it'd be a cool project for the Kuleana community plan,
Yeah, definitely.
like a not just month, but like to do multiple times.
Yeah, I mean, it is a service learning class, so I guess, yeah, connecting to do service, yeah. Anybody else?
I'd like to share an observation.
Yeah, go ahead.
We were just talking about some stuff, and almost instantly I felt a genuine care about what you said from everybody involved. And like she brought up the expression, she says, it belongs to Santa, that other organization. Everybody's trying so hard to do something, and it's good that you sort of bringing us together. Like we got I mentioned we got a whole room of people playing instruments, and then we're looking for an orchestra leader so we can do a concert.
Mm.
So, but the big thing is everybody seems to, but we don't know how.
Yeah.
So this, I think from my observation, this is a good thing. Even the other planning just sitting here, and I'm part of the organization, but I'm still learning.
Yeah, I mean, I think as we're learning throughout the weeks, how connected everything really is. I mean, I talked about Waiakea Water and the pallet to the firefighters, right? And how they did the feedings, how Fire Chief Todd has those connections to the community as well, and the mayor, which we saw in this presentation as well. And so I think if we have the ability to further build those overlaps, right, those links, so that we're not all trying to do all these things differently at the same time, I think that's a good thing. And so I like forums like this because it kind of provides that opportunity for thought, I guess. Yeah. Any other comments or anything? Okay. What about some Q&A? Anybody have any questions? Oh, yeah.
Question, yeah. Just yesterday I got the mailer for Thanksgiving meal vouchers to donate, and I was wondering, do you accept volunteers for single events? It sounds like you need a lot of people on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, so Thanksgiving, if you want to volunteer, it's the day of the year that everybody wants to volunteer.
Yeah.
And so they stopped that meal is long-standing. It's at Aunt Sally's. And we stopped it during COVID. We started it back up once I was stationed here after COVID. And our first year, what we found was we had so many volunteers who were just standing around, even though we did like 500 meals. And what a volunteer does is they greet you at the door. We talk story. We want it to be like a community, like your family's meeting you at the door for Thanksgiving. They take you to the table. You get sit down. They go get your food. They bring it back. They get your drinks. Then they come back with dessert after you're done eating. They clear your table for you. You can listen to entertainment, and then they walk you out the door. But we had so many people that we've had to move towards like a reservation system for volunteers. So we would love to have you. Just call our office. My card's over there. and reserve. So.
So any other days that are big days that maybe don't have any?
Pretty much kettle days, all Christmas when we're ringing the bell, we're always looking for people to volunteer for that. We have a core of group of paid ringers. Most of them have some sort of developmental disability, but they've been doing it for 20 or 30 years. And so we still support them, but there's gaps where we need volunteers to fill those spots. And so yeah, that, and then of course dinners at the shelter. That's 20 every day, 365 days a year. Yep.
Other questions for Captain Sam? Yeah.
Yeah, are you affected by any of the funding cuts or staff cuts at the federal level?
Yeah, so we were a little worried about that. Every nonprofit that got EFSP funding, which essentially is through FEMA for emergency food funding, lost that recently. So the whole county, a lot of people have been affected, but we really work hard to fill that gap with foundations and grants. It's never enough, right? If I want to go buy $10,000 worth of canned protein, I could give that out in a month and a half. And so the reality is that on the mainland in the food pantries I've worked at, there's a lot of excess food. And so I've seen like prime ribs come through our food pantries on the mainland and whole salmon, all sorts of crazy stuff. But here, grocery stores sell what they have because they paid for shipping, right? So you don't get a ton of the excess food here. So we have to buy a lot of our food. And so yeah, it did affect us some, but it just made it work a little bit harder to get more funding.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Other questions? No? Perfect. Okay. Let's give him another round of applause.
No, thank you.
So next week we have, I'm drawing a blank. Who's next week? Oh, Bartholomew. Counseling services. She's going to talk about, perfect, counseling services. We're going to talk about partly the master's program here in counseling, but also about the practice that she has as well. She's a practicing counselor. And so the focus on mental health next week. If you could do me a favor, there are QR codes over there at that table. If you could sign up for the evaluations, that really helps us a lot in terms of programming, funding, and whatnot. So have a great weekend, everybody. I'll see you next week.
We have brochures. Take one over there.
Good job again.
God bless you, brother.